The era of enterprise AI as a speculative venture is over. AI has firmly arrived as a critical driver of business strategy, competitiveness, and long term value. The conversation in boardrooms and among technology leaders has shifted from whether AI should be adopted to how it can be deployed effectively, securely, and with a demonstrable return on investment. But while ambition for AI is nearly universal, recent research uncovers a fundamental disconnect between deploying a tool and achieving strategic value. In this webinar, we'll identify a clear hierarchy of challenges that are stalling progress. We'll then show how organizations can undergo a strategic evolution, moving away from fragmented standalone tools and toward a uniform platform approach. Hello, and welcome to this video webcast titled The Path to AI ROI, From Pilot Paralysis to Platform-Powered Performance, sponsored by Glean and CIO.com. My name's Tom Schmidt, contributing editor with CIO Marketing Services, and I'll be the host of this webcast. Joining me is Sanya Simhan, head of customer and growth marketing at Glean. Hello, Sanya. Tell us a little bit about your role at Glean.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me. My role at Glean is really just about helping our customers get the most use out of their product. We touch everything from product education to personalized feature recommendations to troubleshooting in our community platform to calculating ROI. So you can kind of think of us as a scaled self-serve version of what CSMs traditionally do.
Also joining me is Ramiro Mayer, head of IT at Apollo IO. Welcome, Rama. Tell us a little bit about Apollo and your work there.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for inviting me, guys. So essentially what I'm doing at Apollo, I'm head of IT. Also, I'm leading the corporate security team. And now we're part of the building AI solutions team as well. So we have been shifting our role with this new AI era. And essentially what Apollo does is we're building a leading go-to-market intelligence and engagement platform that can help companies to find and engage and build their best customers. And what it makes Apollo unique is, I would say, a perfect combination between a great B2B powerful database and an integrated sales engagement platform. And now with this new AI feature that we launch, everything is like connecting. So we're having like a great system solution and platform, especially for folks like me that, I mean, I'm not from sales, and seeing this in action is great.
Excellent. Well, let's dive in. Today, we're going to be discussing how a secure, scalable platform is critical when it comes to realizing AI ROI. But first, Sanya, Glean has commissioned several pretty in-depth surveys of IT leaders recently to explore the current landscape of enterprise AI adoption. Can you share with us what the surveys reveal?
Yeah, we've done some surveys with ISG and, of course, with Foundry. And what we're really seeing is a little bit of an enterprise AI paradox where we have this really high ambition to use AI to go through this transformation as organizations, but there's also a lot of friction. And so, an overwhelming number of senior IT leaders, I think the number is like 91%, agree that enterprise AI is a strategic imperative. And you have the action that backs up that. And so, you have almost 93% of companies planning broader AI adoption within the next 12 months. So you see this market-wide acceleration. But as the AI space is getting more and more crowded, there's more and more investments, there's more apps to choose from, and you end up with what we call the AI tax, where you have redundancy across different tools, you're paying for the same thing in 3 different places, you have data silos, all the traditional trappings of enterprise SaaS, but now kind of amplified because everyone's using AI.
So let's dig into the challenges that are stalling progress with operationalizing AI at scale. What are the top obstacles?
I really like to use the analogy of, like, the shift from horses to cars. Part of it is technology, but most of it was infrastructure. You had to redo roads, you had to build wider lanes, you had safety concerns, you had to start thinking about how to handle pedestrians, which you never had even had to consider before. You had to create the concept of a stop sign, the concept of a stoplight, and so we're now going through a very similar thing with AI. We have teams that are starting to think about what platforms can provide data access, but also privacy and security for all of my AI agents. How am I going to handle data silos or fragmentation, which, as you know, have been this long-standing problem in the SaaS space? You have issues with accuracy or reliability, and just increasing the size of your context window or getting a better model doesn't actually help. And so if you want to prevent, things like vendor lock-in, you also need to have, you need platforms that can support multiple AI models and cloud environments. And we see a lot of companies trying to say, hey, we experience all these problems and issues with the cloud era, and I want to avoid all those issues. And so now, like, what do I have to do in order to really get value out of AI without hitting those same stumbling blocks again?
Got it. Sonia, the surveys you've cited and Glean's recent State of AI at Work report are pretty clear. Companies achieving business value from AI are doing so by treating it less like a collection of tools and more like an integrated platform strategy. Can you elaborate on that?
So, the Foundry survey we did showed that using a flexible, secure, scalable AI platform was absolutely the key enabler for AI success in the enterprise. It's actually kind of like your home base in your AI transformation strategy. And so, when we looked at all the respondents that, got out of pilot land and actually deployed enterprise wide, almost half of them leveraged an AI platform that supports multiple use cases, multiple teams, multiple functions. And we're looking at similar rate amongst those who say that proving ROI is very or somewhat easy. Again, picking an AI platform that works cross-functionally, and honestly, that wasn't really surprising for us to hear at Glean.
Rama, you've been very patient. I'd love to hear about your AI journey. And I realize that's a pretty big question, but can you share with us the lessons you've learned along the path to unlocking AI ROI? And as a follow up, can you share with us exactly how you actually calculate ROI?
mean, it's a pretty great question because, I mean, we had to evolve since the what Sandhya said was I was laughing because we suffer some of those pain points that she was mentioning. We are like really early adopters across AI. Our company is like pushing a lot in terms of, hey, we should be native AI, right? We should use AI to improve our productivity, our or doing better processes, right? So essentially, we started there with the mission of reducing time, right? We started there with some ideas, and we started to figure out, okay, we have this process that can be improved with AI, but how we connect it because this process needs data from here and also from there, right? So we were having that problem that Sanya was saying, um, data silos, exposure of our data across several different AI solutions or systems, and then that transition into a second phase, which was more like instead of measuring time, because it's difficult, we started to try to measure productivity, right? We were trying to say, okay, let's seed AI where the process occurs instead of seeding AI on a, I don't know, daily basis, right? Because we didn't know what actually each user of Apollo, I mean, our employees were doing with AI, right? It could be like, hey, let's fix this paragraph or correct my spelling or my writing. So we transitioned that, and instead of seeing or trying to reduce time, we started to search across jobs to be done and how we could connect those dots around the data sources into, I don't know, something that it's useful, right? Or with a better outcome. So and you mentioned the path of unlocking AI started there from an adoption into productivity analysis, right? So we are now trying, and I mean, this ROI metric is like constantly evolving, right? Which is something cool because we are seeing progress there. And as I was saying, we started from adoption, and now we're transitioning it into, for example, I don't know, I can use my own team, ticket deflection, right? How many tickets my team is not doing anymore just because of the AI. And that can include, like, for example, I don't know, the cost of all the tools that we have, the time, everything is around that metric. And I mean, it can be as like, I don't know, difficult and complicated to understand as it can be super simple, because we also try to understand, um, or having ROI metrics explaining, I don't know, better decision making, right? Or I don't know, CSAT and stuff like that.
Rama, we hear a lot about grassroots innovation when it comes to AI. How do you balance grassroots experimentation with a centralized AI strategy?
Super good question. Because, I mean, and especially for us, because we have an internal value that it's called learn voraciously. So, we want everyone to experiment with AI. Honestly, it's like it's in our blood at Apollo to experiment, to try new things. And what we did was we started like some projects or ideas. We have one what was really interesting, which was a prompathon at which we um, expose our entire company, and we said, hey, let's build stuff. Let's share what we're building. Let's share the prompts. Let's share the outcomes. What is useful and what it's not. And the problem there was, like, as Sandy was saying, we had the spread of AI, so we had to put some guardrails in the middle. We had to say, hey, you should use these tools, because if not, we are going to expose all our data. But essentially, what we did was doing like a bottom up strategy to understand what the business is seeing internally, right? Or what everyone is, or how can AI can help to solve their daily problems, improve, as I was saying, productivity, change the way that you work. I think that AI is here to transform everything, right? And the adoption and the grassroots experimentation is core.
Sonia, I see you nodding a lot to what Rama is saying. What are your thoughts about grassroots versus sort of a centralized strategy?
Yeah, I actually think it's not a either or question. I think you need both.
Hmm.
You need that home base, right? You want to automate the drudgery across multiple functions, systems, teams. You want that enterprise readiness. You want the privacy, the security, the governance. But then once you have this increase in output, that means your teams now have bandwidth. And that bandwidth is really sort of that alpha between teams that really understand how to transform their company with AI versus ones that are just using it as another tool. And when you have that bandwidth, the answer is not, let's just go do more. It's, no, let's go out and explore. And you need something that'll let you do that. So you need to give them the right safe tools to do that type of grassroots experimentation, something that is horizontal, or you're going to end up with, honestly, a much worse shadow IT problem, which is what we see in a lot of customers before they get Glean. And so I absolutely agree with what you had to say. Like, completely agree. It's very much a two-pronged strategy.
Yeah, interesting. The Foundry audience loves to hear about success stories. Sonia, how does a unified horizontal platform like Glean's Work AI platform put an organization on an accelerated path to ROI?
Yeah, I think it helps create a sense of AI literacy, like a ground leveling of AI literacy in everybody. Everybody kind of understands certain concepts like what is a prompt, what is an agent, what is a workflow. And because you have this sort of general understanding of things, you're not limited by your ability to build an MCP server or connect one. You're not limited by your familiarity with GitHub. All of these things have been, I always joke. AI has been very engineer friendly. It hasn't been very non-technical friendly. And so some of us from non-technical fields, we're trying to kind of have to go meet the AI models and the foundational models and the tools and et cetera where they're at. And what Glean does, it sort of eliminates that gap. It says, hey, I'm here to plug all the latest and greatest. So, ChatGPT 5.1 came out very recently. It was available the next day on Glean. We had Gemini 3 come out. It was available the next day on Glean. So you're getting the latest and greatest in all of these advancements that these amazing companies are building. And then yet it's available in this no code friendly way that anybody can use, whether you're in engineering or operations or marketing or HR. And so I find that it's really powerful when you are bringing the latest innovations to every single person. And so that helps create your ROI because all of a sudden you're not limited by all these other factors of who has bandwidth, who has extra. Instead, it's just like, hey, the tool is there, it's at your disposal. You can do whatever you need to get your work done now. And so that opens up so much more. And so you get a much faster path to ROI. I think Glean customers on average, if I'm remembering correctly, experience ROI within 6 months, if not sooner, depending on usage. And so that's has been so historically that range of motion has been how we see um, our customers really succeed. But Rama, I know Apollo has some great stories here as well.
Yeah, definitely. And for example, I believe that we evolve as you guys were evolving as well, because we started using Glean when the advanced prompt option was available, right? And that transition from advanced prompting into agents was like a really cool and interesting change. Because as I was saying, at the beginning we were seeing adoption, and now we were seeing how people was trying to use AI for, right? So we were seeing like how AI was seated in or alongside with people in the processes, or during the process, or trying to do the process for themselves. So we have like a pretty strong agent that the customer support team uses, right? And it was built by the team, right? The director of customer support. And we didn't have even to intervene, right? From a technical perspective, it was more like, this is the tool. These are the sources that you have connected. Go out and build what you need. And that was like a pretty interesting success case here. But then we have tons of them. I don't know. We have how during our ACE reviews, which is our internal performance review, we use a lot Glean, right? Because as I was saying, it connects all the data sources for us, and it gets a lot of information. For me, it was really useful at that time. So, yeah, I mean, I believe that this is the time at which, if you have a lot of creativity, you can build a lot of stuff, right? And the technology is not a barrier.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually find that the benefit is not just that people get to do their work faster, it's that they get to be more strategic. So you're giving them bandwidth, and then what they do with that bandwidth is like what I said,
Correct.
that's alpha. And so it's like they can spend that time to go, okay, I have a draft put together. Now let me put it away for a day, come back to it, and look at it with fresh eyes and see what I'm missing. Or maybe I can ask Glean what I'm missing. Or maybe it will pull up conversations or something that was mentioned in an all hands that I can sort of tuck into this that I'm aligning to strategic goals. And so, um, there's all these sorts of interesting ways that you can improve not just the quantity but the quality of your work. And I think that has been the sort of repeatable underlying theme that we've seen across customers. It's just like when we're using AI, how are you doing? How are you improving quantity, but also how are you improving quality?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it's the silent ROI, the ROI, the silent ROI, which is
Yes.
is there, right? It's
Uh-huh.
transformational. I'm seeing that across my team as well. It's like they're
Yeah.
transforming the way that they're working. Yeah, definitely.
It's been an absolutely fascinating and exciting conversation. Our time together is almost up. In a nutshell, what are the key takeaways you'd like our audience to draw from our conversation? Rama?
Well, this is again from my perspective, my own experience. AI has been extremely powerful when we applied it in in great processes, right? If you have a broken process and if you add an AI layer, it's the same math that if you use AI with broken data, right? The output is going to be really awful. Um, And some of the other, I don't know, recommendations would be try to seed the if you're building an agent, try to seed it where the action happens. If your team uses Slack, well, Glean has connectors with Slack. Seed your agent in Slack, right? I don't know if you have it somewhere else. Use Glean's API, for example. And I'm using this analogy, but it is important to put the AI agents where the action occurs, because if not, it's like moving folks from one place to the other. It's like the adoption is really difficult.
Hmm.
But I'm seeing a big transformation path not only across my organization, my or Apollo itself. It's more like across the entire IT world, right? In my perspective, it's
Mhm.
changing a lot.
Very good. Sonia, you have the last word.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree, that, we want AI to be useful where it is. So Glean serves up context. It's your enterprise brain. And so we want that to show up, we want it to be where you're already doing work. So yes, we are very proud of our product and proud of our UX, but if that means we show up in your Zendesk or your Slack or your Zoom or ServiceNow, wherever it is that you're doing work, that's where we want to show up, to where we can be of most use. And so I think that's an underlying thing for sure. Um, I also want to say, just like as a sort of reassurance to our audience, like, AI transformation is being made to be a lot scarier and a lot harder than it actually is. It actually really just boils down to five things. You need a platform you can trust to be agnostic, so that you can work with whatever tooling you want. You can find out what's actually going to work best for your company. You need executive sponsorship and commitment. It's not going to happen without it. You need clear business objectives and KPIs, like Rama said. Like, you need to have, what is the problem that I'm solving? Not just, oh, here's this shiny thing. Like, the era of dabbling and experimentation is over. Like, we're here to get ROI. You need people with systems thinking who have that dedicated bandwidth. It could be that there's someone on your team that's, putting 10% time against thinking how to scale up different motions in your org. It could be a headcount. It could be all sorts of things, but you need somebody who has that bandwidth, who's really thinking about, how do I operationalize this? How do I scale it up? And how do I help AI take advantage of this process that we've created? And then last but not least, and probably the most important, is you really need a culture of accepting iteration and failure. I find that the companies that are really successful, that see the highest ROI, that are improving both quality and quantity at the same time, are the ones that really have this growth mindset. So, if there's one key takeaway, I would say these are the five things you need for AI transformation. You need the right platform, you need exec sponsorship, you need clear KPIs, you need a working team that actually get the work done, and then you actually need growth mindset. And I think we are seeing a ton of customers, we're seeing a ton of folks in the industry that are really excited and have all of these guns blazing. And so it's going to be really exciting over the next couple of years to see not just how AI transforms tech, as it already has, but to see how it starts infiltrating every industry and being able to, change how we think about, all sorts of different verticals.
Five great points. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's webcast. I want to give a big thanks to our speakers, Sanya Simhan of Glean and Rama Meyer of Apollo IO, for sharing their insights and expertise with us today. Thanks especially to you, our viewers, for tuning in. Please be sure to check out the resource list for some valuable Glean information to download. For Glean and CIO.com, I'm Tom Schmidt.